everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Northwest Craftsman. As we're approaching the holiday season, one of the things that I love doing as a woodworker is to make handmade gifts for the rest of my family and my friends. Now there's a couple of benefits to making your own gifts. One of it is usually cheaper than trying to buy them an equivalent gift. 2, it's usually beautiful when you get it to them. And 3, I have not had one person who has not liked it, or they've been too polite to tell me that they don't like it. So today I'm going to be going through 4 different gifts that you can do that are quick, easy, and really valuable for the people in your life. All right, let's get started. Alrighty, so number 1 on our list, we have some custom hardwood coasters. Now, the beauty of hardwood coasters is that you can use the cutoffs from a lot of your other larger products that require a lot more wood, and it's a lot harder to get those large cuts, but when you're doing something as small like this, just a little bit of wood goes a very long ways. I think I made 12 of these guys, well, minus the one that I ruined for another issue, but I got 12 of these guys out of like a small 6-inch by 6-inch piece of wood, and it all just depends on how big you want your coasters to be. These guys are 3 inches by 3 inches, and that's just about perfect for everything that we have except for our absolutely ridiculously huge mugs that we have for coffee or otherwise. So it's really, really nice. One of the things that I did learn when I was doing this is that you are going to want to finish with a polyurethane, not a lacquer or a bunch of other types of finishes, because you need it to be both heat and water resistant. Now, one of the problems you can run into with a lacquer is that when you put a hot drink on top of it, the lacquer will actually take the moisture, and that's where you get that kind of foggy look that you get with lacquered products. So polyurethane is going to be your way to go on this. Alrighty, number 2, and this does not fall in the wood saving category for your hardwoods, but is a custom cutting board. Now I started making these recently with maple and walnut. This is, you can see the maple right here and the walnut here. And the beauty is these guys go for upwards of $100+ if you're looking on Etsy or somewhere else for a handmade hardwood cutting board. And you can make it materials wise for much, much less than that. So the beauty and the gift that you're actually giving is mostly your time. I spend probably 5 hours on a per cutting board basis, which is also why I batch them. So if you're looking to do a project like this, budget to give yourself a little bit of time, and go ahead and check out this video on how to do that. Now, one of the things that I will say is that from my initial video on how to make a cutting board, I have changed my process a little bit. In my original video, I go through and I talk about jointing the wood on my router, and I have found that it is far less necessary to actually joint the different pieces of wood if your table saw is set up properly. And so all of my cutting boards now, I'm in a process of making a couple more for gifts and otherwise. The process that I use now is actually just to make sure that I've got one clean edge on my workpiece, and then I'm able to go through and cut all the different slice thicknesses that I need, and I've got some that are much thicker than this as well. And the blade that I have set up with my fence is tight enough that I don't need to joint that edge. It is flat enough and parallel enough, or perpendicular enough depending on how you're looking at it, that I can actually just wood glue those immediately following the table saw. So that's the only change that I've really made from the original. And the other benefit to that is you also save a lot of the wood, and so the original wood that you're putting into the project ends up actually coming out into the cutting board. I really try to minimize the amount of wood that comes out in sawdust and just chips and shavings, because that means you're spending money on basically compost for later. All right, so the number 3 on our list is going to be a valet or a catch-all tray. Now, the reason I made this is because anytime I'm coming home or anytime I'm trying to go to bed, I always have a whole bunch of stuff in my pockets that I usually just end up throwing on top of my dresser. And these guys are beautiful for having a place to actually hold all of that. And they're also really super easy to make. So the way that I made this is you basically just take a hunk of maple or a hunk of whatever hardwood you have, and then you take your router and you route it all out, and boom, you've got a valet tray. And then I finished it with a little bit of boiled linseed oil so that it gives it a little bit of a nicer finish and a little bit more durable finish, so that when you're throwing keys on there, it doesn't scratch it quite so easily, and it's ready to go. The only other thing that I added on was a little bit of cork to the bottom so that it would sit up off the surface a little bit, and it was a little bit softer as it was moving around. But yeah, no, I'm really happy with the way this guy turned out, and it would be super easy for any of your friends. Alrighty, and then last but not least, number 4, you can make yourself a custom set of Kube. Now, if you haven't heard of Kube, it is also known as Viking chess, and it is one of my all-time favorite summer games. Now, you may be thinking, why would I give somebody a lawn game for Christmas? Because in a lot of places in the United States, and I guess world, you can't really play a lawn game for Christmas, but this is perfect for when you're getting ready for next summer or for next season, and I made this in one night. This one is super easy. It uses a 4x4 and some wooden dowels, and that's it. and you can just chop it all up in one night, finish it, let it sit overnight with the boiled linseed oil, and that's really an optional step too. So if you are in a crunch, if you're seeing this not before Christmas time and you need one of these before a barbecue, it is super fast and super easy to make one of these. And really cheap on the whole because it's just using cheap pine from your local hardwood store, not from your local hardware store, not your local hardwood store. Well, there you go, guys. There are 4 really cool custom things that you can make for your family and friends coming up on this holiday season, and really just any other time of year, whether it's a birthday or a wedding or so many different things. You as a woodworker have skills and talents that can really wow your friends and family. So go ahead and give these things a try, and if you have any questions, leave them in the comment section down below. Go ahead and check out the other videos so you can get a more detailed look on how to make each one of these different items. And again, if you have any questions, leave them in the comment section down below. And if you like the kind of videos we're producing here at Northwest Craftsman, would absolutely love a thumbs up and a subscription to the channel. And if you're already a subscriber, thank you guys so much for being here. I love the questions and comments that I get from you and the engagement that I get from you guys, and I love to see our community grow. So thank you guys for being here. I really do appreciate you. Happy woodworking. Bye.